hands are finely tuned instruments that can perform routine and complex tasks. They're also precision tools that make you a highly skilled and valued worker. An accident could cause your work and personal life to change dramatically. Yet, as important as our hands are, most people are careless about hand safety. About 180,000 people suffer serious hand injuries each year, and many of these injuries could have been prevented. There are some hazards that seem unavoidable, but there are simple ways to protect yourself, such as wearing the right hand protection, using machine guards, using the right tool for the task, and keeping equipment in proper working order. This program is about hand safety. We'll look at common workplace hazards you may face and explain ways to prevent hand injuries caused by those hazards. We'll also discuss when to wear gloves, what gloves to wear during various work operations, and the need for proper care of your gloves. Hand hazards you're faced with fall into two basic categories: physical trauma and chemical contact. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, requires your employer to identify the hazards of your position and make you aware of them. The employer must control these hazards as much as possible through engineering and administrative controls. Engineering controls include machinery guards or equipment changes. Administrative controls might be the use of work breaks or rotating the workers through different tasks. Physical trauma hazards include machine, tool, ergonomic, and electrical hazards. Pinch points are common machine hazards. They exist where a moving object and a non-moving object meet, or where two constantly moving objects meet. Other machine hazards are machinery hotspots, which can burn you, and rotating parts, which can pull in your hands, fingers, and fingernails. Also dangerous is automated machinery, which can start up at any time and catch you unaware. Machine guards can protect you from these hazards by preventing your hands from contacting the point of operation, powertrain, or other moving parts. Always make sure guards are in place and use them. A machine missing a guard should be treated as inoperative and reported to your supervisor. Other ways to avoid machine hazards include using a push stick to keep your fingers away from table saw and jigsaw blades, clamping your work to a flat surface before beginning to drill, using pliers, not your fingers, to hold small metal objects that need to be ground or held near a cutting surface, and using a magnet attached to a stick to remove a piece of metal from a machine. Improper tool use can also cause accidents. Always use the right hand tool for the job and use it the right way to prevent serious hand injuries. Inspect your tools carefully before using them and replace any tool that appears unsafe. Use the right size hand tool for the task you're performing. You've heard of knuckle busters? Like using metric sockets on standard English bolts. You round off the head of the bolt and slip, driving your hand right into the equipment. Never apply unnecessary pressure when using tools. Try using a vise to secure your work when possible. You greatly reduce the risk of injury. Knives are another concern. Make sure the knife is sharp and sound enough to do the job safely. Cut away from your body and never work on the same piece of material with another worker using a knife. Ergonomic hazards can also harm you by leading to cumulative trauma disorders. These are hand injuries you sustain from performing a motion over and over again, or from applying too much force on tools. Whenever possible, use ergonomically designed tools and keep all tools in proper working order. Work with your supervisor to find alternative ways of doing repetitive tasks to reduce hand stress. Electrical hazards present their own dangers. Injuries can range from minor burns to shock, and in the worst case, electrocution. If a job requires you work on or near electrical systems, use certified linesman rubber gloves and sleeves. Most importantly, follow proper lockout-tagout procedures and disconnect the energy source before making repairs to reduce, if not eliminate, your chance of getting injured. About 70,000 different types of chemicals are used at work every day. Know the dangers they pose to your hands as well as other parts of your body. Reviewing the Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS, will tell you everything you need to know about the chemical you are working with. One of the key items on the MSDS is the PPE required. Follow it strictly and review the MSDS on frequently used chemicals to make sure the information hasn't been changed. Always use care when working around chemicals. Don't learn about the dangers the hard way. Anti-vibration gloves, sterile gloves, coated palm gloves, knit string gloves, leather palmwork gloves, impact gloves, welding gloves, elbow-length gloves, finger guards, light and thin gloves with palm dip, and form-fitting stretch gloves. There are a lot of choices. The proper handwear protects you from all kinds of injuries. Skin absorption of harmful substances, chemical or thermal burns, electrical dangers, abrasions, cuts, punctures, fractures, amputations. So what type of glove do you need to perform your job? Your employer will evaluate the physical conditions and demands of your job and determine what protection is needed. Factors that are considered include type of material or chemical handled and at what temperatures, nature of contact such as total immersion or risk of splashing, duration of contact, area requiring protection, such as hand only, forearm, or arm. Grip requirements, such as dry, wet, or oily. Thermal protection. Size and comfort. Abrasion and resistance requirements. Your employer compares glove features to your specific tasks and then chooses the gloves that offer the best protection and performance. Your input on the effectiveness and comfort of the gloves chosen is encouraged because you're the one who will be wearing them. Once gloves are chosen for you, you'll be shown how to properly wear and care for them. Always remember to make sure your gloves fit comfortably by selecting the right-sized gloves for your hand. Proper fit is important to minimize chafing and fatigue. To determine glove size, either measure the circumference around the palm or measure your hand from the tip of the middle finger to the end of the cuff of your shirt. Allow for additional room if you'll be wearing fabric glove liners. Remember that some jobs may require longer gloves for additional protection. Your company reevaluates its gloves periodically to make sure they're performing as expected and that your workplace hazards haven't changed. It's vital that you use the gloves for the specific jobs they were selected to protect you from. One type of glove designed for one job may not protect you if you're doing a different job. The result could be disastrous. Gloves fall into 4 groups: those made of leather, canvas, or metal mesh, fabric and coated fabric gloves, chemical and liquid-resistant gloves, and insulating rubber gloves. There are many gloves within these categories. First, let's look at gloves made of leather, canvas, and metal mesh. These are sturdy gloves designed to protect you against cuts and burns. Leather and canvas gloves also protect against sustained heat. When used in combination with an insulated liner, leather gloves can be used when working with electricity. Leather protects against sparks, moderate heat, blows, chips, and rough objects. Leather-padded palms protect inner gloves from cuts and punctures. Aluminized gloves provide reflective and insulating protection against heat. Inserts made of synthetic materials also protect you against heat and cold. People who work with molten materials most often use these gloves. Kevlar, Aramid, and Spectra fiber gloves are the choice for protection from cuts. If you work in metal fabrication, auto assembly, or with glass or wire, you'll probably wear Kevlar. It's comfortable and offers thermal protection. If you work with sharp knives and blades, you may wear steel wire Spectra or other synthetic materials. These gloves are flexible and cut-resistant, but they don't protect against punctures. Composite gloves made of Kevlar or Spectra with steel wire or fiberglass are almost as cut-resistant as metal mesh and provide a great deal of dexterity and comfort. Synthetic gloves offer protection against heat and cold and are cut and abrasive resistant. These gloves may withstand some diluted acids, but do not stand up against alkalis and solvents. Fabric and coated fabric gloves provide varying degrees of protection and are used for tasks ranging from handling blocks, bricks, and wire to chemical laboratory containers. Fabric gloves protect against dirt, slivers, chafing, and from abrasions, but are not as long-lasting as other gloves. Also, they do not offer enough protection for use with rough, sharp, or heavy materials. People handling oily parts count on cotton gloves to absorb oil and provide a sure grip. For extra protection, heavy styles and double palm styles are also available. Coated fabric gloves improve your grip and are woven thin enough to allow handling of film or small computer components. All of the gloves mentioned up to this point can be kept clean by using mild soap and warm water, rinsing clean, and set to dry. Do not force dry or leave these gloves in the sun to bake. For more specifics, always refer to the manufacturer's recommendations. Chemical and liquid-resistant gloves are made with different kinds of rubber and can protect you from corrosives, oils, and solvents. As a general rule, the thicker the glove material, the greater the chemical resistance. But thick gloves can also impair grip and dexterity. Butyl gloves are made of a synthetic rubber and protect against a wide variety of chemicals. They resist oxidation, ozone corrosion, and abrasion, and remain flexible at low temperatures. However, they don't perform well with certain hydrocarbons and halogenated solvents. Natural rubber or latex gloves are comfortable to wear, which makes them a popular general-purpose glove. They feature outstanding tensile strength, elasticity, and temperature resistance. Latex gloves also resist abrasions and protect your hands from most water solutions of acids, alkalis, salts, and ketones. Some people are allergic to latex gloves, however, and may need hypoallergenic versions, liners, or powderless gloves as an alternative. Neoprene gloves offer good pliability, finger dexterity, high density, and tear resistance. They protect against hydraulic fluids, gasoline, alcohols, organic acids, and alkalis. They have greater chemical and wear resistance properties than rubber gloves. Nitrile gloves provide protection from chlorinated solvents and are for jobs that require dexterity and sensitivity. These gloves also stand up to heavy use, even after prolonged exposure to substances that cause other gloves to deteriorate. Nitrile gloves protect you when working with oils, greases, acids, caustics, and alcohols, but are usually not good for use with strong oxidizing agents, aromatic solvents, ketones, and acetates. When using chemically resistant gloves, remember that the longer a chemical stays on the gloves, the quicker the glove's material will degrade. So follow proper cleaning procedures for these gloves promptly after each use. Insulating rubber gloves in various cuff styles are used for work around electricity. These gloves are strong, flexible, and durable. Insulating rubber gloves have voltage class ratings written on the cuffs to help you select the correct pair for the job. If the exact glove isn't available, use a glove that's one class higher than required, but never lower. Always wear leather protector gloves over rubber insulating gloves to protect you and the gloves against cuts, abrasions, and punctures. But leather protectors alone cannot protect you against electrical shock. Your job may also require you to use rubber insulating sleeves to extend coverage from the cuffs of your rubber insulating gloves to your shoulders. These items offer additional protection from accidental contact with energized conductors and equipment. If your rubber insulating glove is damaged, your employer may permit you to repair small cuts, tears, or punctures in this area of rubber insulating gloves and sleeves. Use a compatible patch or liquid compound to do the job. Finally, avoid folding rubber insulating gloves or storing them inside out. These actions can strain the rubber and wear it down. There are also many types of glove liners available today, made of several fabrics. Liners provide warmth in cold weather while also absorbing perspiration in the warmer months. Check with your employer on what liners are available and acceptable for use at your facility. Fractured or scratched gloves cause about 50% of all hand injuries to people who assumed their gloves would protect them. You have to inspect your gloves each time you put them on. Look for rips, holes, leaks, or anything that looks imperfect. Also, be sure the gloves fit. If they're too tight, you risk ripping them and exposing your skin. And loose gloves may affect your grip or catch in machinery. If you suspect your gloves are wearing out, get a new pair. Never take chances. Also know when and how to dispose of gloves. Disposable containers for certain single-use gloves should be clearly marked. Place gloves that can be recycled and laundered in containers marked for that purpose. It's also important to know when not to wear gloves. For example, don't wear gloves when working near machine gears or other devices in which the glove could get caught. Most employers prohibit wearing rings, bracelets, or jewelry of any kind for certain operations. This is to avoid getting caught in a piece of machinery and pulling your hand into a danger zone. It all sounds so simple, doesn't it? And in many ways, hand safety is very simple. Know what hazards you face, how to protect yourself from the hazards, know what gloves to use, and how to wear and care for them properly. Use whatever hand protection your employer requires for your job. It's for your own protection. But remember, you must wear the protection and wear it correctly. Your hands are too precious to take chances with.